Good morning, students. Take out your geography book of class 6th. Students, in the previous class, I have discussed life of lumberjacks and types of houses which are consist of various wooden buildings. I hope you have revised the topic. Now, let me take feedback before we proceed. First question: what do you know about the life of lumberjacks? Name the different types of temporary camps of lumberjacks. Why do lumberjacks move from one place to another? In which season lumberjacks move from Canada to the taiga forest? Define the following terms: head feller, skidding, hauling. I hope you are able to answer all these questions. Let's discuss some new words. Legendary, remarkable enough to be famous. Endure, suffer something difficult patiently. Rigor, transportation. Puckers, a person employed to carry load. Thaws, defrost or melts. Today's objectives are basic steps followed by lumberjacks: felling of trees, cutting the main trunk into logs, skidding, hauling. Let's start today's topic. The topic is basic steps followed by lumberjacks. Each lumber camp has groups of workers who are specialized in each of the operations of logging. They work hard all day in extreme weather and life-threatening conditions. The harshness of the occupation makes the lumberjacks legendary. Lumberjacks are the people who are engaged in lumbering activities. Every lumber camp has a group of people who are skilled in different processes of logging. Their work is hard and risky. The harshness of the work makes them legendary. Many folk tales and songs are inspired by them and their lives. The lumberjacks have a strong ability to endure hardships. Endure means suffer something painful, usually without complaining. They are strong men with a keen eye and daring temperament. Keen means eager. People sing many songs and folk tales, which are motivated by lumberjacks. They are brave, strong, with a keen eye. Keen eye means sharp eye. Let's read further. The main work of the lumberjacks is logging. This involves the following steps. Number 1, cutting and felling the trees. Number 2, cutting the main trunk into logs. Number 3, hauling the logs to the banking grounds. And number 4, transporting the logs to the sawmills or pulp mills. Let us discuss the basic steps followed by the lumberjacks in detail. Number 1, felling of the trees. The leader of each group of lumberjacks, called the head feller, selects the trees to be cut in a well planned manner. This selection is made keeping in mind the maintenance of the forest as an ongoing resources. The high rigger climbs the tree up to about 10 to 15 meters, cutting off the branches using an axe and a saw. Rigger means a skilled trade person. He wears spiked shoes and has a safety belt tying him to the tree. As he reaches to the top of the tree, he cuts off the top of the tree. After the tree is steady as it swings because of lopping. Lopping means cutting off branches. When the high rigger cuts off the top of the tree. Swings means to move backward and forward. He attaches cables and pulleys to the tree to control the direction in which the tree would fall. The tree is now cut using power chainsaws. Mechanical fellers consisting of large steel blades mounted on a vehicle are now being widely used. They cut the tree at the stump just like a pair of scissors cuts the paper. Stump means tree trunk. Rigger, he is a skilled trade person. Head feller is a leader of each group. He selects the trees to be cut. At the same time, he is also responsible for the maintenance of the forest. A skilled trade person climbs the tree up to about 10 to 15 meters and he cuts the branches using an axe. He wears spiked shoes and safety belt for this work. Lumberjacks, they wear this type of spiked shoes. This is the safety belt for lumberjacks. He joins cable and pulleys to the tree to control the direction in which the tree would fall. Nowadays, mechanical fellers are being widely used to cut the stump of a tree like a pair of scissors cuts the paper. Now let's read further. Cutting the main trunk into logs. The main trunk of the tree is cut into logs and the branches are removed by the category of lumberjacks called the sawyers or the workers. Workers means lumber cutter. This process is known as limbing. The branches are removed using power saws. The main trunk is then sawed or bugged into logs of required lengths. If the logs are to be sent to the sawmills, then their length is kept about 5 meters, whereas 1 meter long logs are required in the pulp industry. The people who cut the trunk and branches of the felled trees into logs are called workers or sawyers, and the cutting of trees into logs and branches is known as limbing. 1 meter long logs are sent to the pulp industries to make papers, and 5 meters long logs are sent to the sawmills. Next point is skidding. The skidders are the men lumberjacks who drag the logs from the forest to concentration points known as landings or banking grounds. These may be near the roads, railways, or rivers. Today, animal skidding has been replaced by vehicles. The different types of skidders are used depending on the conditions. Number 1. Cable skidder. These skidders pull logs behind them. Steel ropes are bound around each log to make the pull possible. Skidders are the logger who drag or skid the logs out of the forests to the landing sites. The landing sites may be near the road, railway, or river banks. Nowadays, animal skidding has been restored by vehicles. Cable skidder. They drag logs with steel ropes. Steel ropes are bound around each log to pull easily. Next type is grapple skidder. These skidders scoop up a bunch of logs with the help of hydraulic arms that are mounted on their backs. Grapple skidder is a four-wheel rubber-tired tractor with attached steering for transporting a load by lifting the log. Next type is forwarders. These skidders are used in muddy conditions. These are truck-like vehicles that carry logs without dragging them. A forwarder is a forestry vehicle that carries big felled logs from a stump to a roadside landing. Forwarders are typically employed together with harvester in cut to length logging operation. Next type is steel cable. Logs are carried aloft. Aloft means into the air by steel cable where the terrain is tough. Transport is rare. Terrain is defined as the specific physical feature of an area of land. Tough means difficult. These cables are strung across canyons and valleys. Strung means to hang up a line of things with a piece of string, etc. Steel rope means a very strong rope. Wire ropes are used for lifting the logs where the transport facility is not available and surface of the land is rough. These cables are hung across valleys and canyons, etc. Let's read further. Hauling. The trees are cut in the winter season when the ground is covered with snow and the rivers are frozen. Rivers are very useful in the transportation of the logs. Logs are piled on the banks of the rivers. In the spring season, when the river water thaws, thaw means to change form of solid frozen state to a liquid. The haulers push the logs in the river. Hence, the logs are floated downstream. The haulers then follow the logs to prevent log jams in the river. Despite taking preventive measures, sometimes logs do pile up and thus blocking the river. At this point, the haulers walk across the logs or jump from one log to another. And with extreme deftness means skillful performance and experience. Free them with long poles. This is a very dangerous job and requires ultimate alertness and quickness. Science and technology has greatly reduced the manual labor. Different types of power-driven chain saws, tanks, log loaders, lifting tailors, tractors, etc. are now used for cutting and sawing of the trees, transportations and unloading of logs. This has reduced the harshness of the occupation. Haulers are the logger who move the logs down the stream. Their work begins during the spring when the ice melts. They push the logs to the river planks so that the logs can float downstream. Sometimes the logs packed together so tightly that nothing moved, this known as log jam. Log jams are common in areas with shallow water and bends in the water. Log jams are very serious situations at this moment. The skilled haulers work efficiently to move logs. They wear spiked boots to move on these floating logs and use long poles to separate the logs as they float downstreams. Nowadays, different types of advanced machines are used for this work, which have reduced the harshness of occupation and other equipments that can work under extreme condition. With this, we are completing the lesson. Do these questions. Have a nice day and stay safe.